My name is John Pleasance. I work for Samsung. I head up the Media Solutions Group here in North America. And very excited to be here today and to hopefully have a stimulating conversation. Jean-Michel Fournier, he is the co-founder and CEO of BitGym. Thank you for coming in as well.
Sure.
So, we're going to have an interesting discussion. Why don't we start with this topic? Connected sports. Quantified self meets big data, all this interesting stuff going on that everyone is well aware of. Is this the first inning, using a baseball analogy, I guess because we're in San Francisco, home of the world champions? Are we in the first inning? Is it the third inning? You know, is it I think people believe in it, but there's some skeptics that think, you know, I guess the other day during the keynote, when the question was asked, how many people have had a Fitbit or a Jawbone up, and lots of hands went up, and then of course 50% dropped off. Do you still have it on today? What's going on? Early, late, hasn't happened? Maybe we can just kind of go down. Anyone jump into that?
Okay, I can jump if you want, guys. So what we see on our side, so at BitGym we focus mostly on the indoor activities. That's where we are focusing on, and what we see is that all the connected sports is really at the beginning. It's positioned mostly as a gadget. We see in terms of distribution, in terms of the approach, you're going to buy your wearable, your device, your sensors from a Best Buy, from an Amazon, and so on and so forth. What we are seeing more and more, though, is that the healthcare industry, as well as the fitness industry, is getting very interested by this space. And what you're going to see, I believe, is that the prescription of the sensor, the prescription of the device that's going to lead the quantified self is going to really come from the healthcare industry, who is going to put way more credibility into the products. And now it will be part of your life. It's not just a number. I count my steps. I know how I'm sleeping, how many times I'm waking up at night. Okay, but what do I do with this information? There is no connection with my physician. There is very limited still connection with my personal coach, personal fitness coach. So what do I do with that? So it's still viewed as a gadget. So people, they use it. We see on our user, we do some survey on a regular basis, and they all have a Fitbit, they all have some devices that they don't really use after a period of time because they are not interested, and they say, well, what do I do with this data? And I think the evolution of it, it's going to be really into the distribution where healthcare, where the physician, where the healthcare community is going to start to use that as a differentiated value for the patient on one side, and the other side, with the data that we're going to collect, we're going to provide more correlation and more advanced analytic, more big data that's going to allow the user to have feedback, real-time feedback and recommendations, say, am I doing this exercise right? Am I more in a situation of potential surgery? Am I doing the right position for yoga, and so on and so forth.
Let me just to clarify before we go on to the next two for just a second. So I'm hearing a few different things. One, you get a lot of data, but not necessarily distilled to a recommendation.
Yes.
You get a lot of data, but it's not connected to other people in your life. And I'm hearing that I want to clarify healthcare, do you mean not fitness, very specifically healthcare?
Yeah, because what we believe on our side is that there is a tight link between healthcare and fitness and sport. Today you have more than 69% of the population who is overweight or obese. So you have a lot of people who are not accessing sport and fitness due to their physical condition. And healthcare can really help to bring the mass market in using the connected device for people to have a better physical activities and physical exercise.
Okay, great. You and I had a conversation earlier talking about how it was surprising to you how, I think even on the floor this happens, right? People come over, they test the racket, and they go, okay, I've hit 2 balls, how do I get better? And you were like, well, you're gonna have to go practice. You're gonna have to learn what this says. You have to put the work in, right? There's a real effort that comes from this. You know, in the progressive example, you just stick the thing in your car, you make savings. You don't do anything. There's lots of data, you don't do anything. You just get a benefit, right? That's almost the extreme example. Data, don't even tell me about it and give me a benefit, right? Your racket's generating a lot of data, in this case, you have to incorporate it into hours and hours and hours of practice to actually see a very marginal amount of improvement. I'm sure if Munir was here, he'd be saying the same thing at the, at the Olympic level, of course. But so, what do you think it's going to take to make this breakthrough? If we're in the batting cage or the first inning, whatever it is, right? What are the breakthroughs that make connected sports really come to life? How are we going to, like, what are maybe each of you working on with your respective product? What is your number one initiative to try to drive mass adoption with the cutting edge technologies that you all are rolling out right now?
And for us, customer experience is critical. So we want to be sure that we motivate people on how to exercise better, and we want to be sure that we transform all the indoor cardiovascular activities to make it exciting and make it fun, to motivate people to come back. So that's a strong focus for BGym. The second part is that we've done a lot of analysis with our customer base and as well as other type of users to understand what we can provide in terms of tracking capabilities. First, we wanted to develop a new tracking device, but there are so many out there that we believe that the tracking device, the sensors are going to become more and more a commodity in the market. And what we've done a lot of analysis, a lot of research using specifically the Samsung mobile phone and look at the capability of the camera of the cell phone, and we think it's totally untouched. So what we are doing on our side is, with the camera of the phone, we are analyzing your movement, your motion, your repetitive motion, and we are able now to create a bridge between the athlete, the human, and the digital environment. And we think we are just at the beginning. We see more and more potential working closely with you guys to be sure that now we can do more tracking into some specific exercise just using the camera, a 2D camera from your smart device.
Yep.
Because more and more everybody has a camera and you don't need to buy other equipment, you need to, to have a great experience. So being able to touch the mass market is very important, leveraging your existing device and providing a great customer experience on top of that. So that's really the focus for BGym.
Okay, great. I think maybe people might be interested in trying to understand a little bit about how the notion of connected fitness is not just impacting your customers and their expectations, but you guys in terms of building and growing. So you each have businesses that are obviously very, very different. They're at different ages and maturities and sizes and revenue streams. You've introduced the technologies in different ways. But what is it, I guess maybe this would be a common question for all three of you, which is, what was your business model yesterday, whatever that means, could be 5 years ago or a year ago? Kind of what drove revenue, where was your R&D or expense going into? What is it today? How is that different from the previous chapter? And where do you think it'll be in 3, 4, 5 years? What is driving your top line and where is your investment going into?
Great question.
So,
I can start. So on our side, we are still early stage.
Yep.
For BGym. We are generating some comfortable revenue, but we are still on this testing phase. What we started first was really to do a lot of testing on the pricing model. So selling an app, it's pretty complicated nowadays because everybody thinks it's free. So you need to add really value on top of it. And the number of downloads doesn't mean anything. What really counts is the number of paying customers at the end of the day. So we started our model to have a pay-per-view type of approach. So you buy a video, a fitness video tour, you go through the app, and you can exercise. And after what we've seen is that people were buying one video, and but they wanted to have more content. So we moved our business model to a Netflix type of business model, more a subscription. So you pay a monthly subscription, and now you can access to all the content.
And when did you make that move? Just put some time frame.
It was around a year ago.
Okay.
And we've seen a significant need from the market because now people, they were not restricted to one element.
Yeah.
So they were able to touch all the spectrum and all the experience actually of BG. And that was really valuable. So that was really one thing, moving from a pay-per use to a subscription. And what we see in the market, actually, if you look at in the digital space specifically around sport, I mean, if you look at Strava, if you look at Runkeeper, MyFitnessPal, and all the others, the really large successful ones, subscription has been the value add that users are expecting. What we've seen also is a significant evolution into the enterprise world, which we were not expecting. Even if you are in a business-to-consumer approach, do not discount, specifically for the developers out there working with Samsung specifically, do not discount the value of your technology and the value about how you can help your partners in a B2B2C approach. And we started to really look at a B2B2C, a business-to-business-to-consumer approach around 6 months ago, and now you generate very high value. So think about B2C, high volume, B2B2C, more high value, and that helps you to balance your business in terms of cash flow specifically. So what about the future? We see more and more in our space in sport and fitness area, developing some business where you pay for results. You have some apps like Gympact and a few others where now, depending on your result, you're going to pay for your app or the value that you generate. And we are really analyzing this space as we speak, because what we believe, if our commitment is to transform indoor cardiovascular activities, well, we need to commit to it. And it means that we will be successful if our users are successful, if our user move from exercising once a week or not at all to 3 times a week, to 4 times a week. So we are really trying to think about the model, focusing on the result.
If you lose weight, if you stay with it, if you put in the results, then you pay?
Then you pay. So it means a lot of complexity now, okay? Because you need to think about the result. You need to be sure that you're going to have a sustainable business model. But, it's how you incent and how you motivate your community. And we are still beginning, but I think in the future you're going to see more and more in this direction. Look at in healthcare.
Look at what?
Look at in healthcare. The insurance company, where they are looking at the physician. Well, if you don't do a good job, if you have 20 or 30% of your population is smoking, sorry, you're going to be paid 20% less.
Right.
Well, why you will not come to the fitness area?
Yeah.
I'm providing a commitment. I'm saying the nice word that I'm going to do better. So now I'm going to show it to you into the revenue and the cash flow.
Thank you.
Sure.
That was a good answer, don't you think?
Thank you.
I would say our business model in the past, John, and our business model today is very similar. And in its most basic form, cutting and welding steel, creating the best pieces of fitness equipment for our B2B customers to help them drive their businesses, getting exercisers in, and finding new modalities, new moves that are effective for those people in their exercise routines.
Great. I want to ask a question, again, on behalf of the audience a little more directly, which is, I was going to ask you if you had one piece of advice for developers who are coming to the conference, what would it be? But I think maybe a more interesting way of getting at that is you've probably had individual conversations with many of these people over the last few days. They've all been experiencing your products. Which conversations have you had with developers over the last few days, or partners, or anyone here, that were the most intriguing to you? So that if you actually left your current post in what you're doing, and you wanted to go join some people that were working or driving towards something, what was the most interesting thing you saw here this week, or the most interesting conversations you had?
If I look on our side, so we came at CDC last year, and it was really about connected device and new hardware and new sensors. That was really the focus. This year is really about data. I mean, what you guys have done around SAMI, for example, is fantastic for us. Because what we want is, how do we connect and how do we build this full ecosystem of partners. And it's very complex, it's very expensive. You need to be able to scale. And when I see in the SAMI booth, where we have all these developers and all these new apps, on one side you have all the sensors and you have all the connectors, all the devices, and on the other side you have all the apps that can allow easily through a standard to connect through it. And I think this part is really about data management. And I think it's what I've been impressed this year, that we go more into the what do we do with the data, how do we use it, what's the recommendation once again. And I think that's the main theme for me that's really valuable.
Awesome. We have just about 9 minutes left in this. I want to make sure that I don't hog all of the airtime and give everyone here an opportunity to ask questions of these three experts. So who has a question? They want to hear more from you guys. Oh, we have one? Great. Thank you.
So two of the big themes this conference has been in sports, wearable devices, and also virtual reality. And I'm just curious, some of the problems they're trying to solve with input devices in virtual reality are similar to what I'm seeing with the gyroscopes and accelerometers that you're also using. Do you ever see some merging of those two industries?
Absolutely. I mean, so we are in the digital fitness at Big Gym, and we are already engaging with some VR companies because we believe that in the future that's going to really transform the fitness. How long it's going to take, we don't know yet. But we see more and more new solutions out there where we bring really a different customer experience. And I mean, you see the success of Oculus, you see the success of a bunch of VR systems out there. The main reason is that it transforms the customer experience. And the customer, specifically indoor, you're so annoyed to exercise. I mean, I don't know if you guys, you've been on a treadmill for an hour, but you want to stop. So you're trying to find a new experience. And I think VR is going to bring that. But not to say about live fitness, because I think you guys, you are innovating and you understand the problem, which is a reality, and you're trying to put innovation on top of it. But if you look at the industry overall, nothing is happening. So I think VR is going to be a complementary for the long term. That will be another sensor, another experience that should be connected to a platform, to a global platform. Once again, going back to Sami, for us it's important because I mean the cost to connect to a VR, the cost to connect to 400 different sensors, the cost to connect to other apps out there, it's very expensive. So when you are a startup, when you are a developer, what you want to do is, okay, what's the standard out there? What's the platform? What are the key API where I can connect and be able to get the information and after focus on my own value?
We have utilized all of our time. I will open up for one further question to the gentleman in the blue.
We're already working on part of it. The VR part is a little bit more difficult, but like I said, I think we haven't hit the sweet spot yet. Well, when you're wearing goggles like that and you're not necessarily sitting on a bike or on an elliptical, it gets to be a little bit more difficult. But very, very good ideas and absolutely places I think we can go and be successful. Thank you.
So the challenge with VR right now is also you get sweaty. So we tested a few, see what's possible. So you have to have a belt to kind of lock you. It exists right now in prototype, so it could work. However, you get sweaty very quickly, so that's very still uncomfortable. So there is still, like Dan was saying, more work to do to be sure it's fully adaptable to your fitness activity. Yeah, so I don't know. You could be, yeah. Yeah. So the case of the belt is that you have something that's kind of locking you, and you are running in every direction. And you have your VR system, and you kind of follow the direction of whatever is playing in your VR system. Oh yeah.
Have
Yes. Do I think it will? Yes.
You're not going to say when?
Say how much?
It'll come to market in the future.
In the near future.
All right, guys, look, I want to thank all of our panelists, and hopefully you
Thank you.
found it to be a constructive conversation.